There we go.
Oh,
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Everyone say hi.
hello.
Hi.
All right, we are here for the Fiction Faction live show for Save the Date by Morgan Matson. We've all read the book. I hope you guys have read it. But we will be doing a non-spoiler section first, and that's usually how we do our live shows until one of us decides that we want to talk spoilers. This is a contemporary book, so there's not much that we can discuss that isn't spoilery. But let's go into our first thoughts about the book. I guess I don't want to go first. So, Haley, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about your thoughts?
Hello, I am Haley from Haley in Bookland, and I enjoyed this book. I had a few issues with it, though. It's definitely not my favorite Morgan Matson book, and I'm a really big fan of hers. I had a few issues, but I can't really discuss them without discussing spoilers, so we'll get to them later.
I can't wait to talk about this book.
Honestly, I'm dying.
Hannah?
I'm Hannah from A Clockwork Reader, and this was the first Morgan Matson book I've ever read, which I know, like, Maureen has read, like, all of them, and he loves them.
A lot.
This was my first time reading one of her books, and I was, like, in a serious contemporary mood, so I really, really did enjoy it. Based on, like, the synopsis of her other books that I've heard, I think I'd like other ones more, but I thought it was, like, a really fun story. I enjoyed the main character, and I enjoyed the whole, like, theme and plot of the story. I thought it was really, like, different and unique, and I really liked, like, the comic book aspect of it, and, like, the chapter titles and headers. Like, they were just, it was cute overall. As, like, a whole, the way it was structured made me really happy, so I enjoyed it.
And I'm Maureen from Maureen Kiwi, probably one of the biggest Morgan Matson fans there ever was, if you didn't know. I really liked this book. For me, I'm really interested to see what your issues are, Hannah. Or not Hannah, Haley. But I'm sure everyone has issues. This one was actually, I'm not sure where it ranks. I need to, like, reread all the books again, and then I will have, like, an official ranking. But I think this could be, like, second or third for me. Wow. I really liked the family part of it. And I also like that this is I was like, this isn't spoilery because I'm not going to say why, but it's a little bit of a departure from some Morgan Matson books. It's a little bit different than the other ones. So that's why I liked it, because I was like, oh, you're trying something new. I see it. I see how it's going. Also because, like, I liked The Unexpected Everything, which was her last book, but I didn't, like, love it. And I liked this one a lot more. And I was like, yes, I love it. So I just love Morgan Matson, so I could talk about it all day. And I'll probably find some way to work in talking about Since You've Been Gone, which is my favorite Morgan Matson book.
Hi, I'm Naya from Naya Reads and Smiles. This was also my first Morgan Matson book, and I am, like, a Morgan Matson fan now. For me, I don't read a lot of contemporary books, mainly because I feel like I'm, like, a pace person. I love, like, really fast-paced books, and I was so surprised that I was like, oh, one more chapter, but so much stuff, non-spoiling stuff, ended up happening. And same thing with Maureen. Like, I love, like, the family aspect of the book. Like, I have a lot of siblings, and you'll see soon, we'll talk about it. But our main character, like, she has a lot of siblings, and the whole dynamic between them and the dialogue I really enjoyed. And certain characters in particular I really loved, and animals as well. But yeah, I loved it from, like, start to finish. Yeah.
This was my first Morgan Matson book as well.
Oh my gosh, so many first timers here. I cannot believe.
This is, oh god.
I mean, I love contemporary. Like, contemporary is probably my favorite genre to read because I love life, and even though I do love a good fantasy, it's every book is about the characters for me. It's about character development. It's about the journey that the character takes, and seeing them fail and, like, go through life. So at first, I had a hard time getting through this I had a really hard time just because I couldn't take some of the things that were happening in it. Like physically, like I had to shut the books. I'm just like, and I was thinking that like this doesn't seem like a Morgan Matson book that everyone has been talking about. Like this seems so different. But at the end of it, it took me a moment. I had to close it and I thought about it, and especially as I was reading the end, I'm like, this is life. Like I love this. And the way that everything came together and with the things that the main character learned, it was great. I mean, I think being a teen, you would read this and you'd be like, oh, this is so fun. All these things happening during a wedding and everything's going wrong. But I feel like as an adult reading this, you see where the main character needs to like learn. Like things aren't always going to go the way that you planned them to go. And I thought that was a great theme for the book. And at the end, I was like, okay, I do like this book. But it was really hard for me to get through, okay? Being a type A, wanting everything to go right, I was just like,
every second page, it's like, no, not more.
Well, and kind of like to piggyback off of what you were saying, Natasha, really like this book is about Charlie and her journey to realize that like her family is not exactly what she thought it was. Like things in hindsight are a lot more perfect than they are when you're going through them sometimes. And for her, it was like coloring everything like rosy. Everything was great in the past when it wasn't always like that. And I think that's why I liked that there was a ton of hijinks and like everything went wrong, because that was the whole point, was like things aren't perfect. Things don't need to be perfect. And she was expecting everything to be like the most perfect, the best for the wedding.
Okay, but it was a lot though. Like Morgan,
that was a lot. It's very much a hijinks book. Like there's so much happening of like this and this and this and this.
Does she normally put that much like?
Oh no!
chaos?
Oh
Yeah,
no!
not at all.
That was a lot more chaos. Like this is definitely very different for Morgan Matson. It felt like very different for Morgan Matson. But what was okay? This is like, I don't know if this is spoilery. Would you guys consider like what your favorite like thing that went wrong? Is that kind of spoilery? Because I don't know if it is, but I think we should talk about that at some point if it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, like we can. I mean, the whole plot of the book, if you guys haven't read it yet, because we are going to go into spoilers, and you guys can ask us questions too in the chat. The whole plot of the book is there's a wedding. It's Charlie's sister is getting married, and everything goes wrong. Like everything goes wrong. So I think we can talk a little. Just don't go into too much detail, and then when we decide to change it to spoilers, then we'll
talk
go
about
into
favorite
more.
hijinks when we go into spoilers.
Yeah.
I have a one big reason this didn't feel like a normal Morgan Matson book, but it's a huge spoiler, so I'm like, I have to wait.
Okay. Well, how would you rate this? For those who have read more Morgan Matson, how would you rate this in your like barometer of Morgan's books?
My current list, I'll tell you, of all my Morgan Matson books,
Pull it out.
is Since You've Been Gone. Then I think Save the Date might be second for me. Then Amy and Roger. Then Second Chance Summer. Then The Unexpected Everything.
We have very different lists.
Since You've Been Gone is like, I keep rereading it and it keeps solidifying itself as my favorite.
I love it.
Is that the one with like the girls on the cover and like ice cream?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
It has, for me, even though I really like the love interest in The Unexpected Everything, Save the Date for me has like, or not Save the Date, sorry, Since You've Been Gone has the best love interest of all of her books, for me at least.
I think maybe I need to reread that one. But The Unexpected Everything is my favorite. And then Amy and Roger. Then Since You've Been Gone. Then I would say Save the Date and Second Chance Summer are kind of tied for my least favorite. But like I still love them. They're still like,
it's like hard because like The Unexpected Everything has like a 4 stars for me, and that's like where I like that's where it is in my least favorite, and it's still a 4-star book.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like Save the Date, I gave 4 out of 5 stars because I still did really like it. I love her writing, but I had problems.
I'm so excited to see what your problems are.
Me too.
I don't know if it's because because we met Morgan or because like we know her so well. I don't know. Morgan has a voice, and I can like not just like in writing, but like she has a presence as well, and I could hear her through her writing, like the way she spoke. So that was a little hard for me to like try to like separate the two, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm picturing Morgan as Charlie right now. Like just the way she speaks. Does Morgan have a large family?
No.
No?
That's what she said in her thing, is she doesn't have a big family, so she's always wanted to write a big family because she didn't have one. Well, she has like I think her and her brother. I'm not 100% sure on that though. I think it's in my interview. I think she said something about it. That's the only reason I know.
Okay, do you think we're ready to go into spoilers, or does anyone else have?
It's hard to not do spoilers.
I know
so.
What did everyone rate it? I rated
4.
mine 3. I did 3, and I never rate that low. It's just it was hard for me to enjoy it.
I also gave it 3, but like 3 isn't necessarily bad for me. It's just like this book was good. It's just not my favorite book.
Yeah.
I give mine like 9 out of 10. Okay. I give mine 9 out of 10, yeah.
I did 4 out of 5.
Same, 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So guys, whoever's watching, we are going to be going into spoilers. So if you're watching this at a later date, then I would leave, or if you really don't care, then that's up to you. But we're going to go into our spoiler section of the live show. So let's bring up the question of like our favorite hijinks from everything that went wrong with this.
My favorite was the Journey cover band, hands down.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh.
Why? Okay, wait. Okay, are we? Is this like? Are we talking about like our favorite? Because I don't have a favorite thing that went wrong because it was all horrible, honestly.
I still have a favorite, even though it was all horrible.
But is it like? Are we talking about like just things that were so outrageous, like our favorite like outrageous moment?
Yeah, like the funniest thing that went wrong.
Someone else go.
Mine was the party decorations. I was dying. Like dying.
Australia.
Yeah, like I wanted to know more about that child. I want there to be a novella about him. I want to know everything. Why does he love Down Under so much? I just want Has he ever been? I want him to go. Oh my god. So many questions.
I just love the fact that they had like cardboard cutouts of the Hemsworths.
Yes. It was just
I'm like
the most random.
This child is me.
Yeah. Oh my god. I could just imagine her like sitting there writing it being like, yes, this is gold. It's like that would totally be me. Oh.
So good.
My favorite, but I was so pissed off while reading it because I remember I was walking my dog and I was listening to it because I couldn't get through the book. I had to get the audiobook because I had to force myself. Okay. So I was walking my dog and we got to the part about the suit and the guy. And I was just like,
I was so mad. Like, no. Oh.
I could not believe it. I'm like, did anyone bring up no one brought up the fact that this was a groom and he needed it for his wedding? They're just like trying to get the suit back. Like, can you please just tell him why is this so difficult? It worked out, but it didn't. You know, like they got the judge and he was, oh gosh, I was so irritated.
Yep. That was my same like favorite moment. I think the craziest thing for me was like he was like a law official, like a pretty high up person. You would think he would have like the moral like compass. I don't know.
No, he was the sleaziest.
I know. He was like, I really like this suit. Everyone like has been complimenting me on it, and then I was just like, really? Like, are you okay? and then like, yeah.
No, it wasn't his suit.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like the dry cleaner wouldn't give them the name of the person was
or he
No, I completely agree. That was my like favorite / least favorite one too, because it made me so upset. And I felt like I could see it coming. Like I didn't know that it was going to happen exactly that way, obviously, but I felt like I could see it coming right when he was like, "Oh, I didn't pick up the suit." I was like, "No. He was going to go wrong. I don't want this."
Did everybody say their favorite? It's like I want to talk about that. Really?
Yeah.
Something else.
I have one other favorite scene. It was really minor. It was when Dawn, the neighbor, called the police on the wedding. Like, who does that? Like, that's such like a jerk move.
So many people would do it.
They're like, oh, they're having a wedding, like one of the most important days of your life. Like, let's just call the police. Like, oh my god, that made me so angry.
The cake. The cake.
Oh my god.
The cake was bad.
Oh my god. Yeah. And no one like noticed it really when they bought the sheet cakes. They're just like, oh, okay, like no biggie.
I just do you know how expensive a wedding cake is?
Yeah.
How much time it takes to make
100.
a stupid wedding? Oh, the dog.
Let's fan Natasha.
Okay, the dog was one of my favorite parts. Just bring him into the story.
Yes.
But at first, I'm just like, they're getting married. Why is this dog here? Why is she sneezing? She's gonna get sick. I knew this was gonna happen. I was gonna be so. If I should have done a review on this whole book and just yell at my camera for like 30 minutes.
Honestly.
Let's not forget the makeup artist, which she left before getting to Charlie.
Yeah, like okay, bye.
Bye.
I love that part with the girlfriend, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I knew she was gonna come in the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I kind of talked about this earlier, but I just love how in this book Morgan Matson really turned what she normally does completely around, because really her books are very like girl is going through something, like finds herself, like boy next door, like Jesse, who is like the best friend. You think that like everything's gonna work out, everything's gonna like they're gonna end up together, he's not gonna be a jerk, it's gonna be great, and like everything's gonna work out. Like whenever I first read that first chapter, I think it was in like the paperback edition of Since You've Been Gone, I was like, oh my gosh, friends to lovers, my favorite thing. And then she just
Marine after that chapter.
And then she just like completely turned around, was like, nope, that's not what this book is gonna be about. And that's why I think I loved it, because it just like she's really good at what she does, but like turning it around, I was like, oh yes, I love the turning it around. I love the whole things aren't going perfectly, because I mean like there are like hijinks in the other book in a way, but like everything turns out all right. Everything works out all right. And in this, like obviously at the end of the book, everything turns out all right, but not in the way that you think it's going to.
Yeah. That's what I really liked about the book too, is because I remember when I was first reading it, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this girl is so privileged. Like her parents, like she got into what, Northwestern, like it's crazy. Three-story house, like, oh my gosh, like, and her mom's super famous for writing the comic strip. And I'm just like, girl knows nothing. Like, come where? Like, please, where's your Anyways, I was getting really irritated with her in the beginning. I'm just like, wow, you have no idea what life is like.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's just like, oh my gosh, no, we're seeing her in the storm. Like this is her storm. This is what she needs to go through to come out and like to just become like a whole new person. And like it was just the only thing I didn't like about the reveal at the end about like the parents getting a divorce was like it happened after this crazy wedding where everything went wrong, and then they had to do that. like at the night, like after the wedding, and I'm like,
I
oh,
mean,
gosh.
weren't they gonna wait a little bit longer though? Because it was her brother that just like accidentally kind of let it
Yeah.
slip. So I mean,
What's his
like,
Danny? What's his name? Danny.
Danny, yeah, the older brother.
I was like the oldest,
He
not
was
Jake.
a butthead. He was a butthead. He was so mean to his girlfriend. I thought he was great at first.
When he brought his girlfriend and like that scene when she came in and none of them knew who she was, I was like, I felt for her so bad.
I
like,
know.
oh, that must be the worst. Like, they didn't even tell the parents about her or anything.
Yeah, that's already such a nerve-wracking situation, and then to go into it and people are like, "Who are you?
Who are you?"
Yeah, and they're all kind of like,
Yeah, I feel like he was the characterization of like everything that Charlie thought was perfect, and then she's like, "Oh,
yeah,
maybe not." Like he was like the character that embodied that whole like feeling of the whole book.
For sure."
People in the chat are talking about Jesse and Billiam.
Billiam!
I have a few things to say about Jesse. Okay, I was messaging Maureen, right? I read the first chapter.
I didn't want to say anything.
And immediately my first thought was, right, we get this whole chapter with Jesse, and then we don't hear about him until Mike shows up. And I'm like, what happened to Jesse? Like, what's going on with Jesse? And then, like, as it went on, and like we, Charlie started talking to Jesse, I was like, oh, I don't really see this panning out, especially when he said, like, he only ever really talks to her, like, once he's back from college. And like that's the only time they communicate. And I was like, girl, that's not a good thing. But yeah, I'm team Billiam.
Yep.
Yeah.
Billiam!
Yeah. Billiam.
That was
such a
Jesse
sweetheart.
from chapter 1.
That was
What?
I didn't like Jesse from chapter 1, like at all.
Get it.
I didn't really like him either.
I fell for the chapter. But afterwards,
Just the chapter.
Just the chapter. That was it. Then I had to like put my adult brain on and be like, okay, let's look at this logically. This is not, yeah.
That was kind of another thing that was different about this, in that like normally her books are very about like the main character. They like really, really about the main character, and the romance is a big part of it, but it's always like more to the side. But this one, it felt like really far to the side, like not a really big part of the book at all, which was another thing that was super different. And I was like, oh, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah, I love books that focus on the family relationship too, because especially with it being a novel that's geared toward teens, I feel like a lot of teens can relate more to the family aspect of it than they can to romances. So it was nice to have that be the focus in those sibling relationships, which I think are really important to be talked about, because I mean, you might have this like rose-colored glasses view of your family, but this kind of showed you like, no, not everything might be what it seems, but that's okay. Like, there's no family that is perfect. Not everything in your life with your family is going to go perfectly, but that's fine. So I liked that that was her departure, was focusing on that rather than the romance.
I agree. Yeah, I think as I get older, I hear myself repeating. Does someone not have headphones in? Naya, it's not you.
I feel like I've been having all the computer problems, so I'm just going to double check to make sure.
Anyways, I don't know. As I get older, I see how like important family is, and to have that around you. I know, but some people aren't privileged. They don't have family around them that can support them and all that. So like they don't know what that life is like. But for people who do and they take it for granted, I think it's really important that we have stories like this that kind of highlights why these people are in our life, like why we need our siblings, and why there's like a crazy uncle who comes in and like takes all the money. Like it's, I thought that was really important too. Yeah. And I like that she illustrated that in the book, because family is so important to me. So.
Same. And I think that's something that usually, like, you don't really realize until, I at least didn't realize until all my siblings moved out. And then it was just me. So then whenever they came home, and I think that's why this was kind of a difficult read for me, was because I could see myself a lot in Charlie, but I didn't love the characters. But I definitely identified with Charlie in the sense that, like, when my sisters come home, I'm absolutely unreachable. Like, my reading vlogs are terrible because I just don't do anything. Everything stops. But I kind of disagreed. I guess I see the point where she's ignoring her friend. That's totally not okay. But I do get the sense like your family is only home every once in a while. So I feel like it's fine to put your focus there, but maybe that's just because that's something I do and I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. But that might be a flaw in myself, but I found that in the book, like it pointing that out as a problem. I was like, I don't know how much of a problem that is, but I do understand her ignoring her friend. That's an awful thing to do.
I understood that too, because especially if you don't see them very often.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe they just need to discuss like, well, family's in town and I do need to focus on them. And plus it's my sister's weddings. I mean, I know if like something's going on with my best friend, like that she's super, like if Christine's like, you know, out in Jersey or something, or like she's with other people, I'm like, if I need to talk to her, I'll go talk to somebody else. Like I will figure out a way, unless like it's super, super important.
Yeah.
Then I will you can just let the person know. But I don't know. I feel like she put a lot of pressure on Charlie when this, like, everything was going wrong in this wedding. Gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
Does anyone else have thoughts about the best friend?
Oh, for me, I feel like this was kind of interesting because, like, she's the youngest and I'm like the oldest sibling. So, like, it's always interesting for me to read about a younger sibling, like, from their perspective. And
we're brats and we're spoiled.
Yeah. And so it's always so interesting because it's like you get a completely different perspective. And sometimes I'm like, is this what my sister feels like whenever I do this? Or like, you know, like those little things. And I like that about it because it made me think differently. And I like when whenever a book can do that. It gives me a new perspective entirely.
I didn't think about that. I mean, I don't really have like older siblings, you know. I have a twin brother, but I am the oldest out of all of my cousins, and I only have 4 cousins, and actually they're all in town right now. So this book was like so close to like what and I have a wedding on Saturday. So
yeah, I had a wedding. I had 2 weddings this summer, so it was really apropos that we were reading it. But I'm the youngest on both sides of my family, and we have like there's 30 something cousins on either side. So I'm the youngest on both sides, and we have a giant family.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So it's definitely relatable to be the youngest too.
Llama asks, who's your favorite sibling?
Oh. I mean, JJ was really like out there, but he was also so funny. I kind of like, okay, he's not a sibling, but the guy that she's marrying, I really liked him.
Yeah,
I like Rodney.
I love him.
Yeah, everyone is saying JJ.
Yeah, I think JJ too.
He was hilarious. Yeah. It was a little annoying when he had like a girl in his room when Charlie really needed to go to sleep when she gave up her room.
I just feel like if I were sharing a room with one of my siblings and they had someone else in there, I would burst through that door and be like, excuse me, where am I supposed to sleep? Like, save that time for later. Bye. Like, oh no, I would not stand for that. And that, I think, is why the suit thing bugged me so much. Because I am not someone to just sit by and be like, yeah, you do whatever. I would be like, no, this is mine. Did you pay for that? No, you didn't. Take that off.
I would take it off him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where my main issues with this book lie, is that I was so frustrated the entire time. And I understand that everything was going wrong for the sake of a story, but I felt like it was too much. I felt like it was one thing after another, and it wasn't surprising anymore that everything was getting messed up. It just kind of became too stupid for me. And I don't like stupid funny, so I think I struggled through that. I was frustrated, and I didn't really find it funny anymore, so that's where I didn't enjoy the book. I did, like, it sounds like I hated it, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I did really like it. I just have so many, like, frustrated thoughts that I'm like, like, I can't even describe it. It's just...
I mean... Go on. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking so much. Go on.
No, you can. I was like, I mean, I'll just say my small thing is like, I'm on the other side of like, unless it's like a really, really big deal, I usually shy away and I'm like, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
No.
Like, I am that person. So that's why I was like reading it and I was like, okay, well, I probably at that point would have been like, you need to say something. But like how she was kind of just like taking care of everything and just like letting things slide off her back. I do that a lot as a 9 Enneagram.
I'm the opposite.
I like do that a lot, so I'm like, I understand.
See, I'm literally the 90-year-old grandpa yelling at kids on my lawn. So like, this was a lot.
If this were my wedding,
Haley and I. Sorry, Hannah. Go ahead.
I'm saying if this were my wedding, literally like the second the wedding planner like backed out, I would have canceled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try again later.
Yeah.
Retry. We'll start trying.
A for effort.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, now you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree with Haley. Where I felt like, I mean, for me, I was kind of just like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna enjoy the book. But there were parts where I felt like Charlie, especially like the scenes when things went wrong with Bill, like with the suit and all of that, where I felt like she did kind of just like was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll take care of it. Whereas I would have been like, I paid this much money for this, and this. Excuse me, you know what I mean? Especially like, like with that whole thing, and even with like the band, I feel like the music for me personally, like if I were to have a wedding, like music would be like the most important thing. And so if that got messed up, I probably would have canceled the whole wedding. I would have been like, all right, we'll try this again next summer.
So, Llama is saying, why is no one talking about the damn alarm?
Oh my god.
Make sure you took it off the wall. Get a screwdriver. Just take the thing off. No one's gonna break into your house. People coming in and out of your house all day. Just get rid of it.
There's literally 50 of you. Someone will catch a burglar. You're good.
Gang up on the computer.
Yeah, the alarm was so annoying. That was like the undercurrent of like, why? Why do we do this?
If like,
I agree with Haley about everything. I just felt everything was just becoming too much. And that's why I had to like put on audiobook, because I honestly had to half listen so that I wasn't getting so worked up like over it, because I was ranting about this to my mom. I was like in the kitchen like making dinner and I'm like, Mom, can this happen? And I'm like, oh, I'm just like dying. And then I was trying to like compare it to a movie and I'm like, this is so much like Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, where everything goes wrong at Christmas and like the uncle shows up. Oh my gosh. Or like the Family Stone. It's like, it's one of those like big family like extravaganza movies.
Yeah.
But the hijinks were getting a little too much. And I think my tipping point was the suit and everything after that. Like when she put the wedding dress in her parents' room or some, I
thought something was going to happen to the wedding dress. I was so sure. And that was the one where I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, cool, good.
Maureen, how?
I'm glad the one thing she didn't touch was the wedding dress. She was like, okay, we'll leave this to be okay.
I really thought something was going to happen to the wedding dress. And I was like, I think that would have actually been my tipping point if something had happened to the wedding dress. So whenever like they talked about putting it in the parents' room, I was like, oh no.
Don't do
it. No.
The dog.
Yeah, I had visions of the dog.
It's like, there goes $12,000.
It reminded me, when Natasha, you were talking about movies, it reminded me of two movies. It reminded me of Christmas with the Cranks, because in the end, they're trying to get together this I guess this is kind of spoilers, but like, I feel like most people have seen it, but they're trying to get together everything last minute because she decides she's coming home. And then it also reminded me of Father of the Bride. And I think that was because it was just a big family thing in a big wedding. But I really love that movie. So that was a plus for me. Like, I've been to so many weddings in my life, so I liked the wedding aspect. It was just so overwhelming how many things went wrong. And it became unrealistic at a point. And I like my contemporaries to be completely realistic. So that was was a lot for me.
Can we address Mike? Because I like have a love-hate relationship with him, whereas like I understand why he kind of like cut himself off from at least the mom, but to go out of his way and just like not really visit any of his siblings because of like something the mom did, I felt like that just like angered me throughout the book. And every time there was a scene with Mike, I just that stressed me out because I was like, why did you? Ugh. He just like frustrated me.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go? You go.
You go.
Okay, I was gonna say like I was really frustrated by his character for a while until I really like thought about it. That literally he felt like, I mean, like for him, like we could talk about like tipping points of like this is when you hit it. That was just like his final straw. It wasn't just that one thing. He was like, my entire life has been in this comic, whether I wanted to or not, whether I want things to be put on display or not, and then like that happened and he was like that's it. And then the fact that like I was frustrated that he didn't like try a little bit harder, but like really he didn't get an apology for anything. And so that's when he was like, okay, you don't care.
Yeah, I feel like Mike is someone in a family that Morgan had to illustrate. I don't know. I have someone in my family like that.
Yeah, so do I.
They're like, family is so important to me. Like I love everyone in my family. Like I'm experiencing this right. Everyone's here in town, so like I'm in this right now. But there is one person who doesn't think the way that I do, and like the way that the rest of my family does. And I think we saw like Mike go through a little, he learned a lot of stuff during the book, and I don't know. I mean, he was really annoying because there is someone in my family who was just like him.
Yeah.
And the fact that like he didn't talk to his family, he needed to learn and to realize like how important sticking together is, because you miss out. And it's like your siblings are the people who you will know the longest in your life. Have you guys ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like,
Oh God, why?
Your parents will pass away, but your siblings, you will know them from being a baby to to the end of time for you. So
yeah, I feel like, oh sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say like I think because am I echoing?
no.
Okay, sorry. I think Charlie and Mike are the closest in age, and like I could just, for me, like I feel like Charlie looked up to him kind of a little bit, and was maybe, I know she said she was closest with Danny, I think, but I don't know. It just seemed like she was really excited to like see Mike, and then when she finally like got him from the airport, and he just was kind of like giving her the cold shoulder, that like really, like I felt that. I was just like, oh, like come on, Mike, like that's just like your little sister, you know what I mean? So.
I got.
So I just want, Lacey said relationships are hard, not everyone's fan is there for you, etc. And very true. Like for sure.
I think though Mike kind of illustrated the importance of communication in a family, which is something that can easily get lost when you live together. You obviously communicate all the time. But then when people move away, like they had in the book, it's harder. You get busy, you forget to communicate, and that's kind of where things go wrong. And obviously there was kind of a falling out for him, but he illustrated the importance of, like, he never talked to anyone about it, really. He was just kind of brash about it, which I totally understand. He had every right to feel violated because ultimately his life was put as a show without him knowing, which made me think of like Truman Show. This obviously made me think of a lot of movies, apparently. But I felt like he didn't have control in his own life, which is something that would drive me nuts. I'm a control freak, and if I didn't have that control and someone were just putting things out there that I didn't ask to be put out there, I would definitely feel like I had been violated and disrespected. But I think it's important. Yeah, you can have a time where you're upset about it, but holding grudges against your own family, that's something that happens a lot, but it shouldn't. And I think he really showed that.
Yeah. I think for me personally, in some ways I could relate to Mike. Like the problem I had with him was how much he pushed his siblings aside. Like I agree with you, Maya. Like that was the part that got to me. But I also agree with you, Maureen. Like I could see where he was coming from completely. Because like as someone who has had like an estranged relationship from parts of my family for extended periods of time, and I'm not like the type of person to hold a grudge, so I like get over it. But I do have other people in my family who will hold a grudge for a very long time against anything, no matter like how minor it could be. I don't know. I could see his perspective in a lot of ways, and I felt for him a lot of the time. So I don't know. I really liked how he was written, and I liked that he was in this story because I feel like characters like that aren't often portrayed in stories, especially with like family dynamics. And yeah, I don't know. He was an interesting one, but it did frustrate me, especially like the way he treated Charlie.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I agree about the whole parenting. I think that it also showed that like I mean, I think we know this as adults that like your parents don't do everything right. Like we always, when we're younger, we think like our parents are like our gods. Like, they are the people that we look up to. And then you get older and you realize they're just trying to figure out life just as much as anyone else is. And they can definitely make mistakes. And I think that was like a great way for just Morgan to illustrate the difference between Charlie and Mike, that like Mike knows that his mom was wrong and Charlie is still, she doesn't know yet. She doesn't know the difference, and everything is like sugar coated for her. At least that like not intentionally for her, but you know, she wants it to be sugar coated.
Yeah, I think she's in denial. Like she knows, but she just doesn't want to accept that fact. She's kind of, I mean, it's always a hard lesson to learn that your parents aren't invincible and no one in your family is. And I think that this book did a good job of tackling that, and especially in the character of Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Someone was asking, I think it was Llama, she said, did anyone else see the parents divorcing from a mile away? I found it really obvious.
Oh,
Yeah. I didn't see it at all.
I could see it like really, really early on. There was like one point where someone said something. Who was the one that always said statistics and facts? Was there somebody that said that?
Oh, in the beginning. Oh, it was so foreshadowing.
As soon as there was as soon as someone said like, oh, there's a statistic about divorce, I was like, oh, the parents are getting divorced.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh man.
I didn't see it until like halfway through the book, I think, when she saw the bed. Well, I think I thought it at first. I'm like, oh, why are they selling the house? Like, I mean, obviously. And then just all the foreshadowing and emphasis on like where Charlie was going to go to school was also blatantly obvious too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, who is the girl? What is the girlfriend's name? Beth or something? I can't remember. Brooke? Okay. And it just like the emphasis on like, oh, I mean, are you sure you don't want to go, off to college? Like, no, I want to stay here. So they're like, oh, that's going to change.
Yeah, that I saw coming, but the parents, I don't predict any plot twists, so I did not see that. That it was like, oh, what? Hello. Or I guess goodbye.
I thought it was really sad because I just like my aunt and uncle got divorced when I was really, really young. I thought it was like the end of the world. But I think it's different when you get older. I mean, you're just so used to it. And then like thinking like, I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have to go to 2 different homes now. Like, whoa.
I can't imagine that. Like, I feel like it's so common nowadays and it happens to kids young. And I feel like that's better because then they get used to it and that's just life. But I can't imagine being older, like getting ready to start life basically on your own when you're going away to university, but then you have things back home aren't going to be what they are. And I can't imagine going away and then coming back and things are so different. It's almost like you don't have that home to come back to. And that would be like, I'm such a homebody that would be like my worst nightmare.
I mean, for me, like my parents got divorced when I was like 8 years old. So it was like really different. I mean, I have a couple of friends whose parents have got divorced around the same time that like Charlie's parents would be getting divorced. So I don't know. It was really interesting because like, yeah, it is very different if your parents get divorced when you're younger versus if your parents get divorced when you're older, and it affects you in like really different ways. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to read from Charlie's perspective, like now, thinking about like how she's going to cope through all of this at her age, and then like comparing it to my own experiences, which is like what you do when you read. But I don't know, it was so weird. It was very interesting though.
I can be from the other side. My parents got divorced when I was when I graduated college, like around then. Like it was right after my youngest sister went to college, and she was 4 years younger than me. But it wasn't something like with these parents where they were like, oh, everything's perfect. Like I knew that it was coming for many years. So it wasn't like that. And it's just kind of like, it's one of the things where like this was such an amicable divorce in a way. And my parents was not at all. So it was so different reading it, because I was like I know this happens to people, and I know like divorces sometimes work like this, but I was like, this has not been my experience at all.
It was weird.
I forgot, like, you didn't realize like how many people around you like have, parents who are divorced.
Yeah.
I think I have more friends that have their parents divorced than parents who are together.
Same. Like, people are always surprised because my parents are together, and really everyone in my family. I think there's only one couple where they're divorced, which is really statistically weird.
Okay. Well, how do I... What did you think about Brooke? Abby asks.
I felt really bad for her.
I felt bad for her.
I felt so bad for her the whole time.
I felt like... Yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go. I'll say my thing after.
No, I was just going to say, I felt like she really tried like so much in the beginning, and she was kind of just like, all right, after she found out like they didn't know that she was coming, she was like, trying to be helpful, and they were kind of just like, oh, no, we'll take care of it. And I feel like whenever, like, if there's ever like a family event at like my house and like a stranger comes or someone new comes, I always try to incorporate them, like, oh, here, you can like chop this or like do this, because like it's really awkward if you're like the person who's like in this whole new situation with all these people, and you're kind of just like sitting on the side like, oh, okay. And especially the game with like the capture the flag, I felt I don't know, I understand, because like my family, we had like a game like that too. We would always play like cops and robbers and stuff, but like when she was definitely like not really into it. And I think who's her? I was gonna say Danny, when he tried to incorporate her and she's like, no, he's like, okay, come in. Like that whole scene kind of like hurt my heart a little bit for her. I really felt for her.
It hurt mine too, because I am not like Charlie at all. Like I was more relating to Brooke, especially with like the hair and makeup thing. Like I remember when Charlie was like, I don't even know how to do my makeup or my hair, just like
and Brooke's just like,
not me. I'm like, I would be Brooke in that situation. Especially like during the capture the flag moment, like no one made the effort to like include her in and to like explain. They just like were treating her so poorly. No one went after her after what she like wiped out. Wow.
She could have easily like went along with like, I mean, I love the scenes where it's just Bill and Charlie, but I feel like she could have come along to the dry cleaner, you know what I mean? And yeah, just little things like that.
See, I relate with Charlie more than I would like to.
Yeah.
I hate change. So I hate whenever there's a stranger that is brought into a situation where it's been comfortable all the time. I have my routine. I have everything. So when my sisters start dating people, I'm like,
oh yeah,
this is not fine. I don't love it. But I feel like I'm definitely different than her in the way that I would make an effort, even as much as like inside I'm like fuming.
You're not apart.
You realize
that
it's gonna happen and you have to get used to it. But I definitely have to say I related more with Charlie than I would like to, and I felt bad for Brooke. I 100%, like, obviously if someone wipes out, you're gonna go and be like, you cool? But apparently not obvious to
You're just like, we'll just keep playing. You just go in the house.
Yeah, they're like, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm like, is it though? Is it really?
I definitely was a little irritated, like, with just the fact that Brooke was there. So at first, but then, like, I started, like, realizing, like, okay, well, Danny's actually kind of a butthead, and Yeah, so I definitely felt bad for her.
Especially
but
since
I was annoyed.
He didn't give any heads up. He was just like, yo, here's my date. Like, I'm sorry, that's not how weddings work.
I know. It's
Yeah.
your sister's wedding. Like, it's not the time to bring someone new
No.
into the picture.
I just felt so bad for her in so many levels because everyone's been the outsider at some point, but imagine being the outsider, staying at the house, being there for a whole weekend,
Yeah.
not knowing like what to do, not knowing anybody, realizing that like nobody said you were coming, nobody
I would
knew
get
you
so
were
anxious.
coming, and also your boyfriend's a jerk and doesn't really care about you at all.
I would have just left, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I would have left instantly.
I would have been like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is too uncomfortable. Like, I hope you guys like have a good time. And yeah.
What did you guys think just about like the whole thing at first where the wedding planner like skipped town and embezzled money?
I would have investigated more.
Yeah.
I wanted that, like, okay, someone fix this.
Yeah, I felt like there should have been more of a solution, but there was, I read about, there was a wedding dress shop in the States that closed last year and just had like a note on their door saying like, sorry, like, so all these people just had to find new wedding dresses. So I guess it does happen.
That happened to Christina. Like Christina Horner bought her dress from that shop and she had to figure it out. Did you guys not see that whole thing? Yeah, like
No,
she's
I did not
on Twitter a ton. Like that's where her wedding dress was from, and she had to like go find another one and get like try to get a refund.
Wedding dresses are expensive.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. Not even like alterations and stuff even brings up the price more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the end of the book, because a reader in time asked probably one of my favorite scenes in the book was the interview at the very end.
I love that so much.
I have to give props to Morgan. Usually when you read a scene about laughing, it doesn't come across. Like it's really hard to be able to like write a scene like that. And it just made so much sense. Like after everything that they just went through. And I wasn't laughing, but I was smiling, and I could see it so vividly in my head, like just on this whole family just like laughing and saying all this crazy stuff that just went down, like, and they're getting a divorce.
that line. Oh my god.
No,
you know what? Wait, remember in the interview where the kids come in the door and behind the dad, he's like talking to CNN or something, and then the mom comes in and her pants are down. It just reminded me of that.
She's like reaching a hand, like.
No, yeah, I feel like right towards the beginning of the interview when like they're trying not to laugh and like everybody's like trying really hard to like take it seriously, and then there's the point where they're all just like screw it. I feel like I could see that part towards the beginning where they're really trying before they decide to just like lose it. I could see that so well of like, oh, I loved it so much.
I mean, just on top of everything, I couldn't believe that they had a Good Morning America interview on Sunday, which actually is Good Morning America even on Sunday, by the way. I think it's only on the weekdays.
I think it is
It's on Saturday. I don't know about Sunday.
Saturday?
I'm gonna Google it right now.
It's on Saturday for sure.
I thought it was okay. So I've had like a situation with like the whole teleprompter thing with the mom. Like when I was like younger in school, they had us do like MC stuff with like teleprompters, and normally you like prep with that kind of stuff, but they're just like, I just imagine the mom just looking at the I could picture that scene so perfectly, her misreading everything, and I was just like, oh no.
I know, that's what because my mom does that. She can't see. She's like, hey, that's my vision too. I can't see far away, so I get it. Does anyone know when Good Morning America is on?
It says weeks. It says during the week, not during the weekend.
I don't think the Saturday show is like full-fledged, but my mom watches it on Saturday.
Did you guys like the comic strips in the book?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
That's one of my favorite things about Morgan Matson is that every one of her books has something extra to it. And I think that's why like Second Chance Summer is one of my least favorites, is because it doesn't really have anything extra in it, but the rest of them do, and I love it. Like Amy and Roger, I just love when an author like curates something to go along with your reading experience, so it does make it an experience to read it. So I loved them.
I thought that was so interesting. I'm like, how did she come up with this? Like,
Yeah,
the whole thing. And
Oh, sorry. You're still talking?
no, I'm done. I'm
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like the comic strips really, like, I liked seeing the contrast between them and, like, what the mom chose to put in the comic strips and what actually, like, happened in real life. I like that a lot.
definitely.
I like the decision that she made to have just to have the character's age in the comic strip.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of my favorite parts that was really small that I think just like kind of added to everything was the whole with like the newspaper delivery girl, and then in the end we found out it was Dawn. Like I don't know, I just love that. I love that we find that out after the comic strip ends, and it's just and like the Grant sign, how they kept stealing the sign. I could definitely see siblings doing that, like having those little things that they do. Yeah,
It's so cute. I love all that the little stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even though I was really, really frustrated reading this book, I can still really appreciate it and just everything that she did in the book, I think was just marvelous. Okay. Does anyone have any other thoughts? Because it's 5:00, so we're going on our hour, and I have a tree cutter outside my window.
I have a thunderstorm outside my window, so hopefully I don't lose power.
I know. I have a little 3-year-old sister. I hear going, Naya. If you hear that at the door.
A small thing. Somebody asked what the Unexpected Everything has of like extras.
Yeah.
She wrote pieces of a fantasy novel that is a big part of the Unexpected Everything. So that's what's in those.
Like Carry On.
That's really cool.
Like that, but a little less kind of.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I love playlists. I love that she put some playlists in like one of these books because that's a huge part of Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah.
And Amy and Roger.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do the playlist. Where is it?
It's in a it's one of these.
Yeah, like a set list.
It depends. It's either Barnes and Noble or Target had that, and then Barnes and Noble had something else.
Damn American.
I have stickers.
Yeah, we got those stickers at the signing. They were real cute.
Yeah. I have a book to give away, y'all, so I'm going to figure out how to do that. I think it's going to be on our Fiction Faction Instagram. So if you guys all want to go follow us on Fiction Faction Book Club on Instagram, we post there semi-regularly. And would love to have you all join us for our August book. Unfortunately, Haley and I aren't coming along for August, but we'll definitely have them back in the future. Thanks, guys. We are reading
The Forest
Queen, which I don't have the new copy yet. So
that's
what we're reading.
Do you want me to go get it? It just came today.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I didn't get it yet. I'll get it. Zoe's coming back, so she'll be with us for August. I'm gonna miss Haley and Naya.
We'll be here in spirit.
We're probably gonna take September off and then come back again in October. So we'll see. We don't know what we're doing yet. To everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining along. And we can't wait to read the next book with you. Has this been like your favorite book that we read this summer? Like, what has been your favorite that we read between Here Reborn and
They're so different.
Save the Day? I know they're so different.
The Forest Queen.
Oh, they changed the cover?
Yeah, they changed the cover and says she robs from the rich and gives to the poor. And I'm like, wait a second.
Wait, like a Robin Hood? Like
it's Robin Hood.
Yeah, it's a Robin Hood calling.
Oh.
I don't like that cover. I'm sorry.
I like this better than the other one. So
I liked the old one.
It kind of reminds me of Cinder.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I like the little arrow
things. Yeah, I do like the arrow.
Okay, so we are going to be on our way. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't look out for the Save the Date giveaway. This is signed by Morgan, so we will be giving that away on our Instagram. And we'll see you all next month for our next live show. We'll plan that date soon. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.